What kind of player will you be in 5 years from now?
Hey, I'll be much stronger. I'll be much better in everything that I do.
This is an 18-year-old Giannis Antetokounmpo, otherwise known as Giannis Shino Ugo Adetokounmpo, otherwise known as a Greek Freak. And today, we are going to explore his rise to becoming arguably the best player in the NBA for the past 5 years. But before we get to that, take a listen.
This guy's going to be special. Combo flies in and throws it down.
He has the drive to become the best player, and you can tell that from where he's come from the beginning of his career to where he is now.
Excuse me. Giannis trailing the lob. Oh my goodness.
Giannis, as great as he is, has so much room for improvement. I've said it, he might be 75, 80% of the player he could be.
By the time he's 30, probably be the best player in the game, probably be one of the best players ever. What I like about it is that he wants it.
Giannis trailing the lob.
In his 10 years as an NBA player, Giannis has already established himself as one of the NBA's greatest power forwards, and I think everyone would agree when I say he's also one of the greatest players the game has ever seen. But it's not just his on-court performance that makes his story one of the finest. Giannis' journey to getting on the court is nothing short of inspiring. Born to Nigerian parents 3 years after they left Lagos for Athens, Giannis was the second of 4 boys born to the Antetokounmpos in Greece. But due to the fact his parents were not recognized as Greek citizens, Giannis and his brothers did not automatically become Greeks. This was because the Greek nationality law follows jus sanguinis, which in practicality means your nationality is not based on birth, but on paternal and maternal origins. And because Giannis wasn't in Nigeria, this also meant he wasn't really a recognized Nigerian citizen, making him and his brothers stateless for almost 2 decades of their lives. Giannis and his family lived a tough life as immigrants, but the harsh conditions of living in a foreign land where you had no identity did not stop Giannis and his family from striving to survive. Just like the famous saying goes, when life gives you lemon, you make lemonade. Apparently, the pressure of living under those conditions only proved as a catalyst to teach Giannis and his brothers the need for focus, hard work, and tenacity. Giannis' parents lacked work permits, so he and his brother Thanasis had to work on the streets to support their family. While doing this, they also picked up the game of basketball. At the age of 15, Giannis got spotted by a Greek agent who immediately recognized his potential and took him under his care. Giannis was skinny at the time, but he spent a lot of hours in the gym training. As a young boy, Giannis would share his basketball shoes with Thanasis while walking 5 miles to the gym daily and putting in the work needed to be the best version of himself that his agent knew he was capable of becoming. You see, unlike most European players who got on the radar of NBA scouts by competing in the best league of their respective nations, participating in the Euro League, FIBA tournaments, and going for the Nike Hoop Summits, Giannis did not have the privilege of any of this, and it made him hard to find. But even though he did not have the best of platforms, as he played for the lower division of Philadelphia, his light still shone bright, and news of the young Nigerian in Greece who was outplaying grown men got to the scouts of the NBA. Giannis' fame got substantial growth, and by the year 2012, he had already started playing for the senior team of Philadelphia. He eventually signed to play with Zaragoza in Spain, but he never got to participate in a game for them as he declared for the draft in 2013. By the time Giannis declared for the NBA draft in 2013, he had already played 2 years of professional basketball in Greece and eventually got his Greek passport 2 months before draft day. Coming into the draft, unlike most draft prospects, Giannis did not have a wealth of basketball experience under his belt. There was the fact he was still just 18 years, and he also did not play a lot of basketball at the top youth level, be it in the US or Europe. This posed the question, was his potential legit, or was he just another international prospect with some hype around him, who would never make it in the NBA? Although Giannis did not have the production that would have made him a highly touted draft pick, he had a physical frame and a unique set of skills that made him a very good prospect at the very least, thus he was projected to be a first-round pick. But the doubts made Giannis some sort of gamble for anyone who was going to draft him. There were speculations that he wasn't NBA ready at least, and that he would probably have to remain in Europe and develop until he was 21 before he would be ready to play in the NBA. Like this writer said, Antetokounmpo is perhaps the greatest mystery of the 2013 NBA draft. Upon watching his live games on film, Many scout reports said the same thing. The 6'9", 200-pound frame was an asset. He had great ball handling skills for his size, can easily finish at the rim, is a great rebounder. To cut the long story short, a lot of great things were said about this hulking prospect coming out of Greece. He had NBA teams traveling out to watch him, and many confirmed the hype was real. But there were questions, legit questions. Could he shoot? How well would he do against NBA competition, considering he wasn't even playing against the best of the best in Greece, much more Europe? But to the one with good sight, gold mixed up with bronze would still be considered gold. Some said Giannis' ceiling was Scott Pippen, others said it was Evan Turner sprinkled in with some Nicholas Batum, but everyone agreed he had the potential to be a relatively good player. On draft day in 2013, after 14 players were picked, Giannis was selected with the 15th pick by the Milwaukee Bucks. At the time, little did anyone know this was a pick that would turn the fortunes of the franchise around. For Giannis, it was a dream come true. He was officially a part of the premier basketball league in the world, and his family would no longer have to live on the edge if he could develop into the person most scouts thought he had the potential to become. In his rookie year, Giannis averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Not the most eye-boggling numbers, but showed flashes of his potential in his 20-something minutes on the court per game. By the end of the season, Giannis led all rookies in total blocks and was named to the All-Rookie second team. But in spite of his efforts, the Bucks were the worst team in the league, winning just 15 games that year, which was also the lowest win percentage in their history. Not what the Bucks expected, but they were in the midst of rebuilding, and this wasn't exactly the worst thing they could have experienced. Over the remaining years of his rookie contract, the Greek Freak continued to improve his game consistently every season, showing more and more of that potential he had inside of him. And as Giannis improved, so did the entire Bucks team. The grit, tenacity, and mental toughness developed in his years as a young Nigerian in Greece were very much evident in his approach to all of life, including the game of basketball. Giannis played hard, and it was the only way he knew how to play. By his fourth season, Giannis had tripled his points per game average to almost 23 points per game, and experienced drastic improvements in every area. It was the year that would become known as his breakout season. In a season that saw Giannis win the Most Improved Player of the Year award, become an All-Star, and get named to All-NBA and All-Defensive teams. The Greek had finally fleshed out more of that potential that scouts projected he had in him. Giannis had increased in size, strength, and IQ, making room for him to get more physical as he knifed his way through defenses while attacking the rim. In the 2016-2017 season, Giannis led the Bucks to their first winning season in more than 5 years. He also led them in all major statistical categories: blocks, points, assists, rebounds, and steals, being the 5th player in history to lead an NBA franchise in all categories. He also became the only NBA player to finish a regular season in the top 20 in each of the 5 major categories, proved that Giannis was more of an all-round player than most people in the league, orchestrating the offense and defense in a way not many players could have done. In the years that followed, Giannis continued to grow and improve, literally getting better and better in each season. It was in this time he became popularly known as the Greek Freak, a nickname that was coined because his surname was a bit too hard to pronounce, but mostly because of his freakish size, strength, speed, and ball handling skills. Giannis continued to help the Bucks get better, as he also became virtually unstoppable, endearing himself to the local Milwaukee fans, while simultaneously being not so good news for the players and fans of the opposing team. Because of his length, Giannis needed only 2 to 3 steps from the 3-point line to be able to throw down a monster dunk, and he had also developed and mastered a deadly Euro step form that got him to the rim easily. Giannis would consistently get 30 points double-doubles, more than most players in the league could get a 20 and 8 stat line. But it wasn't just the tangibles that he had going for him. Everyone knows how much of a great player Giannis was and is, but what is not talked about as much is the very great leader the man has become. Giannis sets the tone for everything on the Bucks team, not just offense and defense. He's also the vocal leader, he's the most hardworking player, and when he's sitting out a game, it is not uncommon that you see him cheering his teammates and encouraging them as the game goes on. Just like when he was in Greece, Giannis remains, for lack of better words, a gym addict, always working hard to get better at facets of his game he's not so good at, such as shooting, and fine-tuning his other offensive and defensive tools. Giannis' hunger to get better and better, his drive, mental toughness, and consistency was and has been a major reason behind the success of his team. The intangibles of being a leader is what sets some of the greatest players the game has seen apart. Players such as Bill Russell, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Kobe, and in today's NBA, players such as Steph and LeBron. NBA greats who made their teammates better just by existing, pushing their teammates to being the best version of themselves and leading by example. In a 4-year span beginning with the 17th season, Giannis established himself as one of the best players in modern-day NBA, constantly improving his production, with his point per game averages getting better than the previous season. Giannis won back-to-back MVP titles in the 2019 and 2020 season and became only the third player in NBA history behind Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon to win the Defensive Player of the Year award and MVP award in the same season. In every one of these seasons, he made All-Star, All-NBA, and save for 2018 All-Defensive teams, and he led the Bucks to a winning season each year. But like many great players before him, although Giannis had won everything he could on an individual level, there remained yet the most important achievement in the NBA. Giannis had not led the Bucks to a championship. This was a dent in his career. As NBA fans, we all know there's an unwritten rule stating you are not in that elite group of players if you have never led a team to a championship. It doesn't matter if you made 10 finals and lost or won 3 MVPs. Giannis knew this, and it left a hole in his resume as the Bucks consistently got bounced in the playoffs. In his 2017 breakout season, the Bucks finished as the 6th seed, but despite averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds and 4 assists, they still lost to DeMar DeRozan's Raptors in 6 games of the first round. 2018 was not so different as the Bucks lost in Game 7 of a thrilling first-round series against the Boston Celtics. The Bucks had the league's best record in the 2019 season. Giannis won his first MVP award and led them to a 60-win season, behind then career-high averages of 28 points and 13 rebounds. The Bucks got into the postseason as favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference after sweeping the Pistons and demolishing Kyrie's Celtics in 5 games. They were to face the Raptors, who had one of the league's best two-way players in Kawhi Leonard. The Bucks won Game 1 and 2, and they looked primed to get to the finals, but the Raptors were able to hold Giannis to only 23 points per game through the series, while Kawhi on the other hand exploded, averaging 30 points and 10 rebounds per game to help lead the Raptors to a finals berth against the Warriors. The playoff woes of the Bucks continued in 2020. Meanwhile, it was continued success for Giannis as he won his second MVP award, the Defensive Player of the Year award, and finished the season with a then NBA record player efficiency rating, a record that had been held by Will Chamberlain since the 1962 season, but the Bucks still fell in the second round to the Miami Heat. Despite their regular season success, it was hard for Giannis and the Bucks to replicate their dominance in the playoffs. It was a case of one disappointing postseason run after another. Then came the 2021 season. The Bucks signed former All-Defensive player Jrue Holiday. Giannis again made All-Star, All-NBA and All-Defensive teams, including winning the All-Star Game MVP for shooting a perfect 16 of 16 from the field. The Bucks finished the season with 46 wins and 26 losses, enough to make it their third straight season, winning over 60% of games. Heading into the playoffs, they had a chip on their shoulder, but the Eastern team to beat was the Brooklyn Nets, who had 3 of the league's best stars: Kevin Durant, James Harden and Kyrie Irving. In the first round, the Bucks were matched up against the Heat, who made the NBA Finals the previous season after defeating the Bucks in the second round. It was a rematch of some sort, and this time the Bucks swept them behind solid performances from Giannis, Middleton, Brook Lopez and Jrue Holiday. The Bucks advanced into the second round to play against the Brooklyn Nets, who at gentlemen swept the Celtics in their first round matchup. KD, James and Kyrie came into the series having averaged 33 points, 28 points and 25 points against the Celtics respectively. The Bucks were good, but respectfully speaking, they were underdogs coming into the series. I personally did not expect them to make it against such an offensive juggernaut, and after they lost the first 2 games, losing Game 2 by a massive 39 points, the future looked bleak for the Bucks, but they were able to even the series after Game 4. Over the next 3 games, Giannis and KD put up an offensive clinic, giving fans of the game some of the most spectacular dual performances in what looked more like an NBA Finals than a conference semi-final, trading shot after shot after shot. Behind the 49 points, 17 rebounds and 10 assists Kevin Durant special, the Nets won Game 5 with 6 points. The Bucks took Game 6 with Middleton and Giannis scoring 30 points, and everyone had the opportunity of watching a Game 7 classic. Through normal regulation time, the Bucks and Nets kept exchanging leads, keeping the game close and their fans closer to their seats. With 8 seconds remaining on the clock, the Bucks were leading with 2 points. Giannis had already accumulated 38 points and 10 rebounds, whereas KD had a game-high 46 points. The Bucks had a turnover with 6 seconds remaining, and the Nets called timeout. On an inbound pass to KD, being guarded by PJ Tucker, he managed to make this 3-point shot to end the Bucks' hopes, or so we thought, but his toe was on the line, so he only managed to extend the game to overtime. The Bucks won the game in overtime and advanced to the Eastern Conference Final for the second time in 3 years. Milwaukee faced up against Trae Young's Atlanta Hawks in the conference finals. Much to everyone's surprise, the Hawks took Game 1 with a 3-point lead, The Bucks won the second and third game, but unfortunately, Giannis suffered a hyperextended knee injury in Game 4. Nevertheless, the Bucks, led by Holiday and Middleton, were able to eliminate the Hawks to get to the NBA Finals, where they were to meet with the Suns, who finished the regular season with the league's best record and had home court advantage. The Suns were the favorites to win the championship coming into the postseason. They had the point guard Chris Paul, one of the NBA's best scorers Devin Booker, and the former first draft pick DeAndre Ayton. They were primed to win it all, and all they needed to do was beat a probable Giannis-less Bucks team, but Giannis got cleared in time to return for Game 1, making their chances of winning the title slimmer. Despite the return of Giannis, the Suns took Game 1 and Game 2 rather convincingly, winning both games with double digits. Giannis dropped a 40-piece in Game 2, but it wasn't enough to lead the Bucks to a win. Being 2 games down, the Bucks were in familiar territory. They had experienced the exact thing in the conference semi-finals against the Nets. They needed to win if they would have a chance of coming back into the NBA Finals. In Game 3, Giannis dropped another 40-piece, becoming the first player to have back-to-back 40-point and 10-rebound games since Shaq did it in the early 2000s. Unlike Game 2, this time his effort was enough to lead the Bucks to a 20-point win. With 1 minute left to go in Game 4, Middleton hit a clutch mid-range bucket to put the Bucks up 2. Coming down the other end, the Suns had the ball in the hands of Devin Booker, who had a game-high 42 points. With Tucker and Giannis as a help defender, Booker threw a lob to 18, an almost similar play to this one in their series against the Clippers. But this time, Giannis was able to recover, turn around, and lift himself enough to block 18 from making the alley-oop. This was one of the most memorable moments of the 2021 NBA Finals. The arena erupted. Giannis had just made a close block that kept the Bucks season alive. In what was a close game, Milwaukee went on to win with 6 points, leveling the series to make it a best of 3 going back to the Suns arena. The Bucks won Game 5. Through the first 5 games, Giannis had averaged 32 points and 13 rebounds, but it was in the closing Game 6 that he put up the best performance of his career up till this day. With their Game 5 win, the Bucks had the chance to win the first NBA championship Milwaukee had seen in 50 years, and they had the opportunity to win it at home in front of their fans. Giannis knew what was at stake. He knew this was the best opportunity he had to fulfill his promise of bringing a championship to Milwaukee, and he brought his best game to the court, scoring 50 points, grabbing 14 rebounds, and making 5 blocks. He was the 7th player in history to score 50 points in an NBA Finals game, and the first to do it in a championship clinching game. But perhaps the most interesting fact about the day was he made his free throws. Everyone knew Giannis wasn't a great free throw shooter, so it was hard to stop him. He had been shooting below 65% for most of the series and playoffs, but with everything on the line, Giannis made 17 of 19 free throws to lead the Bucks to a championship. The job was done. The boy from Athens who once shared basketball shoes with his brother, who for the first 18 years of his life was stateless, had climbed the mountain to the top of the basketball world, and he did it in a way not many have done. There's a lot of story that can be told about the road to Giannis winning. This alley-oop dunk in Game 5 of the Finals, the fact he could have jumped elsewhere to form a super team, the fact he had a hyper-extended knee injury just weeks before the final, and still managed to average a massive 35 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists on 60% shooting from the field. Numbers that no one has been able to put up in the history of the NBA. That he was still able to jump with a recovering knee to make crucial dunks and blocks was nothing short of a miracle. But let's stick to the fact that no one saw him coming this far, not even himself. The best that was said of him was the fact he had the ceiling of Scottie Pippen, a 6-time champion, but we all know he has surpassed that. At the age of 26 and within 5 seasons, Giannis had won everything there was to win in the NBA. Most improved player, most valuable player, defensive player of the year, All-Star Game MVP, NBA championship, and Finals MVP. Since winning the championship, Giannis has continued to make a name for himself in the NBA history books, consistently finishing in the top 4 for MVP votings, while simultaneously being one of the best defenders in the league. For a superstar who has won everything, it is obvious that the Greek freak is not satisfied. He still has the hunger and drive to accomplish so much more. Right now, at age 29, he's still in his prime, and I believe that the legend of Giannis still has more to give to the world of basketball. So if you enjoyed this video, kindly like, subscribe, but most importantly, leave a comment down below and click on any of these cards on the right to watch other videos I think you would find interesting.